All
All
right.
right.
So
Perfect.
yeah, just where we left off, you're talking about the hypnotic rhythm.
Yeah. So we'll start off. Um, we're talking about positive hypnotic rhythm and negative hypnotic rhythm, and also overcoming limiting beliefs to get your negative hypnotic rhythm in the right direction of getting in a flow state of just executing daily
Yeah. Kind of
your good
stacking
habits and your
habits,
discipline.
stacking
Yeah,
habits. Yeah.
exactly.
Habit stacking and such.
I think I've been in a negative hypnotic rhythm before, and I'll kind of relate it to let's relate it to waking up early.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
If you're not used to waking up early, it's not going to be easy the first 15 times you do it.
Yeah.
Just like anything else in life. Um, and so let's say you're like, I want to start getting up at 5 a.m. every morning, right? And I want to create that rhythm. Well, if you have been waking up at 9 or 10 or 11 every single day for the past 5 years, you already into a negative hypnotic rhythmic
Into
state
that rhythm.
of your body's used
Mhm.
to that. That's what your
Yes.
body does. So
It's
let's
very
say,
automatic. Mhm.
right. Let's say you're like, okay, I'm starting tomorrow fresh, 5 a.m. I'm getting up. And you get up at 5 a.m. and that first thought you're going to have is, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like your body's going to give you a signal of, I can't do this. Like this is impossible for me. That's a limiting belief that you have to break through to get to a positive habit. Now, I'm not even saying that you should wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. All I'm saying is that you should wake up at a time that's in your formula to get
Get some
your
stuff
things
done. Yeah.
done for
Get
your
your
day
stuff done.
before
Yeah.
anybody else bothers you.
Whatever it calls for.
So, right. What I found with me is, I got into a bad habit of waking up at 9:30, 10, getting a shower and going to work.
Yes, sir. Me and you living together. Me and you, bro. Yeah. That was
And
good.
I've kind of gone on and off of that within my life. Even a year ago I did that, but there was one day I woke up and I was like, I want enough time in the morning to get me sorted out, to get my mind right. And so I would start waking up 5 or 6 in the morning. And for the first 3 weeks, it sucked. It absolutely was terrible. Like I was in a bad mood. I was not enjoying it. It was just god awful. I didn't want to talk to anybody. But what I noticed is over the course of the month, my body started to readjust to this new habit. And I would go to bed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would wake up earlier and I would feel as refreshed as I ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
I could check emails, I could listen to a podcast, listen to music, walk, work out, play basketball, all before 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Before
I
some
usually,
people get up. Yeah.
yeah, and I usually go to work at 10. So what I found for me is, it doesn't really matter when, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but it doesn't really matter when you do these disciplines for yourself, but at some point they have to be done, whether it's in the morning or at night or during the day or whatever it is, finding that 2-hour segment to recharge yourself, Do you want to kind of comment on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I used to do similar things, back in high school. I actually, I would go to football practice, come home, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, then play video games all night until like 2, 3, 4, and then go to bed and sleep for 3 or 4 hours. So I would always be terrible with like getting up early, and I was always like very sluggish in the mornings and didn't get a lot of things done in the mornings. It was always like cramming at night. So moving up to kind of fast forward to us working together, in the serving industry, and going into work at 10 o'clock, and like you said, going to bed a little late and then waking up late just in time for a shower, and then getting to work, right at on time or a little late, and kind of being behind, feeling behind the whole day, But then, like you said, like you kind of have that moment where you're like, I don't like to do this. I keep being behind, and I keep like I'm not getting my stuff done. I'm not doing well at work. I'm not making the money I should. I'm not really getting there on time, things like that. So I need to work on how can I be more of an early riser. And then, I moved into a moment of life in later 20s in Atlanta to where I'm working night shift. And so I'm working till 5 a.m. and there's 4 or 5 days in a row where you're working till 5 a.m. And then you get off and you kind of go to sleep in the morning time a lot of days. So your rhythms are off. But like you said, you I found a job that had me more in the morning. And so I noticed that it took a while to kind of get into the rhythm of going to bed early and getting up early. But then once I set it, like I kind of had this whole different world that happened, because I really was getting more stuff done. I really was being more focused. I was sleeping better. And it's been a long journey of trying to go to bed at night and sleep well at night. So actually getting some decent sleep at night, because you're in a rhythm. Your body likes to adapt and to get into a flow of things. So once you do that for a few weeks, like once your body goes to bed at a good time, gets up at a good time, gets in sunlight, exercises daily, eats nutritious food and protein on a daily basis, and gets on walking and lifting weights, strength training, when you get into that rhythm, your body will thrive, and you'll feel better, and you have better hormones, and you have better neurochemicals in your brain, and you just feel better on a daily basis, so it takes time to stack it, to build it. But once it's automated and it's built, what you'll notice is that, like, that way is, if you do that, you can do that 80% of the time and see results. You can have 20% of the time where you don't go to bed on time, or where you don't get up, or you can have even more than that. I could see somebody having 30% of the time where they don't do the exact, spot on thing, but that's part of the process. Failure is a part of that. So, like, actually hitting your goals and stacking the habits, just doing the work 70, 80% of the time daily, you'll find yourself, like you're saying, in a positive hypnotic rhythm over time.
No, absolutely. And I was going to kind of bring this point up in the beginning, but I think I forgot. But basically, when you're in a negative hypnotic rhythm of whether it's a sleeping pattern or working out or whatever it is, you're going to have a limiting belief that you have to overcome, because think of it like a whirlpool in a pool, like in an above ground pool you used to have when you were a kid, right? You used to play the whirlpool game where you would go like around the pool.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a point to where you're flowing in a circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that's your negative hypnotic rhythm. If you try to turn around and create a different flow,
it's friction.
You're gonna be pulled in that rhythm that you've already created, right? Mm-hmm. And so in your mind, you're like, I'm walking this way, but I don't believe I can get there because I'm being pulled this way, right? So it's the same thing of, no, I can overcome this. It may not take a day, it may not take a week, it may take a few weeks, but over the course of time, we can switch this back to a place. And then, to kind of what you were saying too, whenever I just roll out of bed and get a shower and go to work, I am not the best version of myself. Mm-hmm. And I don't execute the way I should. I'm not efficient. I'm not great with people. I'm not a lot of these things. Whenever I create that time for myself in the morning, I create the best version of myself, and I do my daily disciplines, then I'm in flow state. I'm in Zen. I'm thriving. I am creating work and creating productivity that I couldn't have if I hadn't done those things, which only helps you attain a higher place in life, based on the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too, where for me, it's very easy. It's easy to get out of bed and go to the gym. It's slightly easier not to. Mm-hmm. And so humans go with the slightly easier option almost all of the time when you're not disciplined. Mm-hmm. And so, but what I found is kind of like, if I get in and put in the work, I'm going to have such a happier, more awesome, more productive day. And it's not even about success. It's not about it's not about what you produce in a day. It's not about how much work you get done. To some people it is, and that's fine. For me, it's about the way I feel. Mm-hmm. It's about how I feel going throughout my day.
Kind of like creating your life, creating your life, but you control more when you're healthy and you're kind of you feel good on a daily basis. You can create better.
The better you feel, the more of a positive influence you have on other people. Mm-hmm. The more people want to be around you, the better you feel. Yeah. And that's what I always think about, is instead of like putting outcomes first, I put how I feel first. Yeah. And then that creates the outcome.
So I would say that you're talking about being very obviously being process oriented over outcome oriented, because so I was thinking about this morning, kind of like doing a meditation, but being outcome based where you're like, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 20 pounds and and that's all you focus on. That can really drain you when every day you wake up and you're not there. But every day, if you do the things that make you feel good and make you feel better, if every day you focus on, what would actually make me sleep better tonight? What would actually make me feel better and perform stronger if I were to do strength training or go on a walk or do some type of exercise? Like what would I feel like if I were to be doing those things? And if, like you're saying, it feels like being energized and like, going on walks and kind of doing the things that help you thrive, contribute to your thrive state, as like you said. And so being process oriented means kind of like focusing on the daily habits and the daily good feelings that you could that you produce from those habits. And I think we talked in the last little interview, we talked about like the success loop and such. And so it talks about like you take action, you get a result, and you get motivated from it. You don't like just get motivation and get an action, get a result. So you have to take action. So what are the daily actions that lead to the best version of yourself? And like that's what it takes, like over a lot of times, like we talk about a fitness journey. A fitness journey usually turns into a self-development journey, because when you're overcoming yourself and your limiting beliefs and you're improving yourself over time, whether it be strength training, weights, or a skill like calisthenics or gymnastics or whatever your sport or chosen exercise, whether you get faster at walking, just depends on like what are the things that I can do daily that'll help me succeed at those things that help me feel good on a daily basis, and how can you lock into the process to do that,
No, absolutely. I think it's it takes such a long time to get, and I think what discourages most people from fitness is it truly does take a good amount of time to create such a positive
without seeing the result at first. The first time,
well, even even now, everybody's goals are different. My goals personally are, I want to be fit enough to be able to play basketball, because I love playing basketball. So I want to be in shape and fit for that. I want to be able to do life's activities a little bit easier, like lifting things or lifting a box or whatever it is,
without pain and such.
Right. I want to be able to be limber enough to where my back's not hurting when I get out of bed. I don't have a goal of gaining 30 pounds and benching 250 and squatting whatever. And if you do, that's fine. Like that's totally fine. It's great to have those goals and to attain that. But I think sustained fitness really starts with, what do you want the most out of it?
And why do you want it?
Why do you want it?
Why do you want it? Yeah. It's like, I love have you ever heard of the 5 why exercise, where you just like, you ask the question, it's like, why do you want to lose weight? Or why do you want to bench 250? Or why do you want to lose 20 pounds? And it's like, well, I want to look better. It's like, why do you want to look better? It's like, oh, well, I want to feel better and more self-confident in my life. So, well, why do you want to be more self-confident and feel better in your life? So I want to be a better leader for my family and a better father and a better person in my career, a better leader at my job. And it's like, awesome. Well, why do you want to be those things? It's like, well, I just want to be the best version of myself possible to contribute to the world and fulfill myself and my family and my own personal values here on earth, and then you kind of get layers deep in it. And when you have that deep, when you kind of find that deeper purpose, there's when you find that higher 5 why purpose, you can go, okay, I can go to the gym, and kind of get these things done because I want to be the best version of myself. When you kind of have that power behind a lot of the things you do, you build that momentum and you get into a real good, positive, hypnotic rhythm,
No, absolutely. And I think, we were talking the other day on a phone call, and I really do believe that you can lie to yourself all you want, but you really have to get to a place where it's for you and only you, and and you are your motivation to get to have a healthy lifestyle.
Intrinsic motivation, like from within.
Yeah, if you do it for your mom or your girlfriend or for work or for this or for that, it's not going to sustain, in my opinion. It's not going to last a long time if the only reason you're going is to impress somebody else or impress anybody.
What typically happens is a lot of people discover it, so they go and they go to fitness to impress somebody, but then they find the self-sculpting,
Right.
mind building, self-improvement side of it. So like going off of what you said, you build people. A lot of people have other reasons why they find like either personal development or fitness, but they typically stay for what we're talking about, like the self-improvement
Correct.
and the best self-attainment.
But I also think that
The ones who stick it out.
you have to discover that to stick it out.
Because if you don't, your own core too.
Right. Because if you don't, you're not gonna like push through the friction to keep going.
To turn the whirlpool back.
Yeah.
To the whirlpool, because you can keep walking forward, and eventually, because we used to do that too in the pool, play the whirlpool game. So like you said, it's going this way, and you turn around and you try to go that way. You're against resistance and friction, but if you just keep going, you'll overcome it. And if you keep going, you'll actually turn the whirlpool around. And then if you got crazy, you could run from each side and just collapse it all together, that's what I call like.
Think about this too. And this kind of just popped in my head. What makes the whirlpool go easier is if you have more people with you, and you have support. More, and you have people around you,
accountability,
to help you. So I mean, the more people you have contributing to that reverse rhythm, the easier it's going to kind of get there. If you're just
by yourself.
Exactly. But if you have somebody you can learn from, if you can talk to, vent ideas off of, bounce back stuff off of, then you're going to find breakthroughs a little quicker than you did before, if that kind of makes sense,
Exactly.
And that's why, like, anytime I'm around you, anytime I'm around Taylor, anytime I'm around anybody, I'm like a sponge soaking up their knowledge and fitting it into what my routine and kind of what I'm doing.
Well, it makes me think about, like I believe, I just had it in my head, but I think it was Emerson. Emerson said that like there is from every man I can learn something, like of every man, everyone has such a unique experience of life that every single human being, to me, every single child, human being, mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, passerby at the gas station, whoever, can kind of teach you something, because they can kind of experience that you've never had before, because they've, no one's lived their life. Everyone's so unique. Your video's pausing there. Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm still here. You're still good.
Cool.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. Yeah, you're like,
gotcha.
Paused up, and then you came back, and then I started hearing.
Gotcha. So I heard you the whole time. So
that's what I figured. So, anyways, so I feel like every human being you come across, you also taught me this as well, because one of the first things you told me when we became very close friends was that the person in front of you, you talked about putting your phone aside, and the person in front of you is the most important person in the world at that moment. And so when you kind of start seeing the world like that, every single person is very important, and they have their own point of view of life. So like, they may have something to teach you or something you could learn from. It may not be correct. It may not be truth. It may not be your truth. It may not be even what you believe, but like maybe you could learn something from it. Even
it's a valuable perspective, no matter what it is. No matter how wrong it is, it's a valuable perspective. Yeah.
And that's what I think about, like you said, like from every person I can learn. And then it's one of the philosophers, either Socrates or Plato, but he's like, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. And it's just at some point, you get to where you can learn something from everybody. So I've tried to learn not to kind of just tell people how to do things and what to do, because it's more or less, I'm here if you need me, or if you have any questions to ask, but like I can learn from you just like you can learn from me. But yes, we have expertises in certain things that maybe I can help other people with certain things, but overall, like, you should just treat everyone you come into contact with, lovingly, and like you can learn from them.
Yeah, I got a real quick story that kind of relates to that a little bit. I've been into Ted Lasso recently, and so good. I don't know if it's really awesome.
I don't know if any new stuff's out, but we have watched all of that was out for a few months ago.
Yeah, I'm still on season 1, but it's really good. And
his character made me think of us, like us, what we've been through and how people kind of describe us sometimes. What we've been
absolutely
through and how people describe us. They're like, Brad. We're like,
I think Ryan Tripp said I was like Ted Lasso, something like that. It's kind of cracked me up.
So true.
Ted Lasso says be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah.
And have a curiosity about people, not just a straight to judgment, you know. And
I want to write
I was
curiosity, not what?
not judgmental.
Judgment. Yeah.
Yeah. Be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah, that's
I was in the gym yesterday, and you know, sometimes, I mean, as human nature does, it causes you to judge people or laugh at people or make fun of people or whatever, and you have to catch yourself. You have to catch yourself. Yeah. And there's this older guy. He's probably in his like late 60s, right? And he's like doing pull-ups, but just like yanking himself up, and he's trying to do some tricep things, and he's just not doing them right. He's just kind of like pulling them all over the place very weirdly and everything. And in my head, like, I wanted to sit there and make fun of him at first, you know, and judge him for it. But then the spirit took over, and the spirit was like, this man's in his late 60s.
Yeah.
This man's in the gym, and this man's pulling something.
Doing good, bro.
Like, leave him the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Like, let him fucking do his weird ass pull-ups and shit. And I think having that mindset is healthy even when you're in the gym, because there should never be a place in your fitness journey, I think, to where you get to where you're become what you hated when you got into it. You know what I mean? And I know that's kind of off topic, but it just kind of reminded me of it a little bit. And that sometimes I fall guilty of that.
It's like you're like, dude, I'm never going to the gym. I hate the guy who would like make fun of the guy who's in there working hard. Exactly. You're like, the guy's not doing the triceps, right? It's like, whoa, you know, yeah. That's the, you know, the human,
humility is important. You know what I mean? And it's important to have humility. And if he asked for help, I would give it to him. But I'm not going to sit there and like make fun of him, even in my head, or judge him even in my head, when this man is like at the damn gym, like putting some kind of work in. Who am I to judge and sit there and say you're doing this? You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy, because what I think about is like how many things I've seen on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, to where like day one is like the person's in there and they're doing their stuff like that, and then like 2 years later they're like jacked and strong and they're like fit, and it's just because they were like, I don't care what these people are, you know, I don't care about people making me if I'm not doing it right. If you stick to it, like if you stick to it, you naturally will find ways that get better. At some point, someone's going to walk over to that guy and be like, hey, like, you know, tuck your elbows in and do your tricep, or he's going to come across a YouTube video. But if that man just keeps at it, not even worrying about like doing it perfectly, he's going to naturally get better over a year or two. And that's what we're trying to talk about, is that positive hypnotic rhythm, is like the daily stacking of those things. That guy, like we said, if he keeps to it, he could be all kind of steps forward in 6 months, 2 months, or a week. I saw something today on Instagram that it was really awesome. I really thought about what I really want to gear some programs and some coaching toward in the future. And it was a guy named Alan Aragon, and his, I think it was his wife's father. He was an older man, and he's having like arthritis and back pain and body pain. And he's an older man, maybe like 70. They got him strength training and like doing like squats to benches and stuff. And they've seen him progress over 3 or 4 months. And you can see his before and after doing the training. He's got better motor control. He's got more muscle. And they said, his pain has gone away. And it's over just 3 or 4 months of just casually training every day, just getting a little bit better every single day. Kind of the, you know, the mama mentality, just getting 1% better every single day, and what that compounds over time, versus when you don't see the result in 6 days or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months, and you don't see the result and you give up. That's what we talk about. Like, when you don't see the result, if you keep going, you'll see a grander result in like the long game, you know?
No, absolutely. And I mean, I every time I've ever gone to the gym before, you know, this last year, pretty much, I was pretty much outcome oriented, in which I wanted that fit body or this or that or whatever. And, you know, we go back to our last conversation, and like I said, I was kind of in a funk, and I kind of woke up and realized that I wanted to have a healthy lifestyle. And now it's really like ironic and probably hypocritical for me to say this, but maybe my muscles are 1% of the reason why I go to the gym, you know, or it's for me personally, it's, you know, I want to go lift some heavy things. I want to
Mhm.
sweat. I want to run. I want to shoot basketball. And I
Yep.
want that feeling that I get after I go do all that. And I, for me, I think everybody has to figure out kind of like how they deal with it. But the way I do it is I don't even give myself a chance to talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
I get up and
Don't
go.
negotiate with yourself. Yeah.
I get up and
What Kobe
go.
used to say too. He's like,
You know,
I don't negotiate with myself, you know?
I used to have a pretty bad habit of getting up in the morning and getting on Reddit or YouTube or whatever for an hour or two. And yeah, I still do that from time to time, but more times than not, 90% of the time, I'm up without even looking at my phone and headed to the gym.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like just this. I'm already. And once you get there, you pretty much won the battle.
Yep.
You know, once you get to the environment, you've won the battle within yourself of talking yourself out of it, because it's so easy to sit there. Oh, well, I'm not feeling that good today, or
Yeah.
you know, I've got this going on later, or whatever.
And that tends to roll, you know, when you're when you I've learned that like when you lay there and you negotiate with yourself more and more, it just rolls into like not going or anything like that. Like for me, you told me on the phone the other day, you said that, you know, like you and Taylor are crazy. I know y'all love working out, so y'all will go anytime. And it's super true, but it took a while for me more though, because beforehand I had to go in the mornings, because if it got to the afternoon, I would not ever work out. So I had to establish that habit for years of training in the morning. Now I'm training in the afternoons, and it's like after all my work's done, and it's after I'm fed, and it's in between like meals and in the afternoon. I'm getting used to that, but I love training now. So like I'm gonna go when I go in the afternoon.
Right.
But like something I wrote down that like just it made me think of this. But I watched a lot of Andrew Huberman's podcast, talks about neuroscience a lot, and if I understand this correctly, I don't know if I fully understand it, but the way the brain is, when you're if you're outcome focused and you're solely focused on the outcome, every day you wake up, every day you wake up without the outcome, you kind of like lose a little dopamine and lose a little power, because every day you're anticipating, like that's why when you first start a weight loss journey and you're like, all right, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds in 3 months, and then day one you're all psyched up and you got high motivation, but then every day you wake up and you're not 20 pounds lighter, you lose a little motivation, you lose a little motivation. But that speaks to dopamine. You lose a little dopamine sensitivity, you lose a little dopamine sensitivity. And then day 6, day 7, day 8, you haven't been eating, you've cut low carbs, you've done all these things, and your brain's kind of like worn out. So then day 9, day 10, people give up, and they kind of give up on the diet. But when you do it more process oriented, so all right, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, what are the things I need to do this week to get that started? Grocery shop for high protein. And so I need to, I need to schedule 2 or 3 workouts during these times per week that I can go and start light and improve. And then there's like maybe 2 or 3 things that you can do that week to like get started on it. And the way the brain is, every day you execute that, you gain dopamine and you gain dopamine sensitivity. So when you're process oriented, you actually gain momentum towards your overall goal in the long run, but you're more micro goal and micro focused.
Well, so check this out. And that's, I never knew what he meant by that, but that's exactly what he meant. Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn said that he needed to lose 30 pounds and he wanted to do it in 10 months.
Yes.
But instead of thinking 30 pounds in 10 months, he thought 1 pound and 2 ounces a week.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Yep.
Which, I mean, what human can't do that if they're overweight? You know what I mean? Like 30 pounds in 10 months, and you don't, and you're thinking about that the whole time. It's gonna mess up like your internal motivation. But if you're like, okay, all I got to do is lose just 1.2 pounds this week, and if whatever it is,
you set yourself up that way. You set yourself up for success. When you set yourself up that way, you can like. But like literally with your neurochemistry, like having like sometimes you like in today's world, we have a lot of stimuli. We have a lot of phones and computers and blue lights, and our brains are lacking not only. So think about this: if you're doing something that increases dopamine, and you're like watching stuff that increases dopamine, and you're on screens all the time, not only are you losing dopamine daily, but you're desensitizing to dopamine, your dopamine receptors. So over time, if you're always on your phone and you're always kind of like in that world, where you want to scroll and like and do things like that to get that hit of dopamine, when you've kind of fried your receptors over years, it becomes hard to always be motivated to do things. So over time, if you gained weight and then you're like, all right, well, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in like you said, however many pounds in so over many months. And then you look at the macro goal, you may not get far literally neurochemically. Like you're not going to feel like going past 6 or 7 or 8
Correct.
because you haven't built your dopamine receptors up. So a lot of times with my clients, like what I do is I bring them through, like kind of like we want to go through a phase where they're eating more food and working out and desensitizing their kind of dopamine and not, depleting it. And then you kind of, can be more motivated to do the daily habits that, lose body fat, get you in shape, get you to a peak goal. But you got to kind of resensitize your body sometimes in today's world.
I think two things. I think life is really about figuring out the relationship and balance of, I'll give you an example. If I eat a bowl of Fruity Pebbles right now for lunch with whole milk,
making my mouth water.
Like I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna like eat the fuck out of it, and it's gonna be the best meal of my life.
Yeah.
But 17 minutes after I eat it, I'm gonna feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
If I have that as my meal, it's just the way life works.
Over time, you've known that's how it happens every time.
Yeah. So, whenever I go to work, we have some of the best food in town at Simmer. Mm-hmm. I'm still eating grilled chicken and broccoli and ahi tuna and this and different things. And well, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that I had much rather trade 20, 30 minutes of eating healthy food that I'm not going to enjoy like I am a Reese's bar to feel good for 24 hours. 24 hours then trade 20 minutes of pleasure for 24 hours of discomfort.
Yeah.
And so, and let me give you the opposite of that, right? The opposite of that is I'm willing to trade an hour of discomfort in the gym for 24 hours of feeling amazing. And so understanding that relationship and then navigating it to fit into your lifestyle, to me, is kind of the way to succeed in fitness. To me, it's understanding those balances of that, and understanding that everything you do has a reciprocal effect. And it's okay to have a cupcake every now and then. It's okay to have a cheat day and eat pizza. It's okay to do all that. But for me, it's like an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time.
What are you doing most of the time? Yeah.
Exactly. 80% of the time I'm eating, very healthy. I'm very active. I'm fit. I'm playing basketball. I'm running. I'm doing cardio. I'm doing all these things. 20% of the time I'm having a cheat day. I may have a day where I just go for a walk that day and not lift or whatever. And so that's kind of how I divide my time up in having a balance. Because for me, Brad, if I'm 100% eating healthy and on my fitness and all that, I'm not happy. Yeah, just not. But and then if I'm 100% eating like shit, not doing anything or whatever, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So 80% health, fitness, eating right, doing my thing.
Yeah.
Listening to good things, all that, and then 20% cheat meals, taking a little time off or whatever, and figuring out that balance for yourself, I think is really huge.
I love that because what I think about is Tony Robbins says progress is happiness. And so think about this: when you're making progress, you're happy. When you're doing, I believe that when you're doing the right habits and the right things 70 to 80% of the time, then you're getting progress, then you'll be happy. But if you do the right things 95 to 100% of the time, you don't really make that much more progress usually. So there's that little trim off, because if you're perfect, that's the level of advanced. When you're advanced, you have to be perfect to even get a little bit better. And that little bit better isn't useful for the daily person and the person
correct
the daily person who has a job, who's taking care of people, who has a family and a job, and who doesn't have the time
Yeah,
to
if
be
you're Tom
athlete,
Brady or LeBron
you
James or
have the
whatever,
time to
that's one
put in
thing.
that extra. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
your average Joe, your
Yeah.
single mom with 3 kids,
Yeah.
your
So,
dad who works a mill job,
so I think that like 40 to 50% execution is not good enough to make progress. So you'll never be happy at 40 or 50 or 60%. I think 70 to 80% of effort and execution gets you progress, which makes you happy. And then I think that upwards of 95 to 100% is actually too perfect for 99% of people. And that causes
And
unhappiness. So
now let me give you a prime example,
Yeah.
and hopefully he's okay with me sharing this story. But my little brother Josh, during the pandemic, he got into this obsessive state with food, where he would weigh out everything to the ounce.
And I've been there, and you've been there.
And I'm talking like it was the most extreme case I'd ever seen. And he had 10 abs, and he had like chiseled features and all that other kind of stuff.
Back abs or something, you know.
hey, but he was unhappy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just,
you know what I mean?
What is,
and we talk about it. We talk about it now and look back on it. He was like, I was unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, in that state of 95%.
Yep. And you
know,
think
sorry,
about
go ahead.
And you think about what does it take, like, to push yourself that far, and then what are we really doing at this point? You know, a lot of us are in our 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, and we're trying to be the best version of ourselves, and we're trying to be healthy on a daily basis and feel better to give and contribute our best. And that takes about 70 to 80% execution. So that gives you 20 to 30% flexibility with life to actually get results. But a lot of people, they put in 30. Some people, I don't say a lot of people, some people may put in 30% and still have limiting beliefs that are holding them back, and they'll quit at 30%, or they'll quit at 40 or 60, or they'll quit at 65 when it takes almost set. You got to keep chipping away till you're hitting 70. Maybe you're in maybe a gym example. You need a 70% of this amount of volume in the gym to actually like get super good gains, but like over 2 months, you're only hitting 50 to 40 or 50% of that volume. But over time, you keep trying, you keep adding, you keep tweaking, and eventually you hit that 70, 80% volume mark. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, you blow up. But that happens to people because everyone needs to reach their threshold, you know?
No, that's a great point too, because the same thing happened to me a little over a year ago. I got my gym membership in early to mid-October last year.
Yeah.
And the first 2 months, I know how to work out, but I didn't work out like I should have.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't really push myself to that 70, 80% like I'm talking about. But I went 5 or 6 times a week.
Yeah.
I did something.
Yeah.
After 2 months, I started to get into a rhythm and a flow and a schedule and lifting for purpose and lifting for intention and lifting to gain and lifting to cut and all these other kind of things. I think the first few months, I think my body just naturally was just creating a habit and creating a rhythm. And I think my mind and body knew that if I'd have went, you're good. If I'd have went and killed it, I would have quit. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I'd have went and killed it at first, like I probably would have quit because I wouldn't have found the progression and the happiness and the liking and the attraction to it that I had. You know,
and this also, it would have been more difficult to build the rhythm, to build the positive hypnotic rhythm, because it's just momentum. I think it's just a momentum game. I think it's a smashing limiting beliefs, doing the thing, and then building momentum, stacking wins, and continuously doing the thing with anything. Say you want to learn. I have a good friend, Jeffrey. We're about to start learning music. So I'm gonna get a keyboard and I'm gonna learn some like a little bit of piano type keyboard music because I want to sing some spiritual like gospel type stuff as a hobby because I love that. But I've just never been musically inclined. But I just know that like with any skill, if I just try a little bit every day and listen to him because he's a good teacher, eventually in a couple of years, at some point, I'll be able to play a song or two at least. And who knows, maybe with that kind of mindset, who knows, my skill set may accelerate. I may be able to play a couple songs within a few months. But I'm focused on every day a little better, tapping into skills and listening and learning with an open mind as well. I'm not, especially with something like music where I've never been versed in, I'm not looking to learn or listen with bias in mind. I don't have anything blocking me. And I think that's really important when you're learning something, you're learning a skill like how to lose weight, how to get in shape, how to eat better, how to improve your health, and things like that. They're skills that take time to learn. And it just takes time. No one time, you're never going to learn one skill and know the skill. You're going to have to refine it over time. Anything.
It's repetition. And also, I mean, it's one of those things too, with if you pick up a hobby or you learn something new or the gym or whatever, you have to keep doing it with repetition, I mean, same with, the best example is basketball.
Yeah.
I shoot basketball every day.
Yep.
Every day I shoot basketball. If I don't shoot for 2 weeks, I'm going to be off.
Yeah.
And have to get that back.
Like, damn it.
Speaking of, I could have started for the Nuggets last night the way I played yesterday.
Oh man.
Me and Taylor went 6-0, 2-on-2. And bro, like, it was funny, like, because I was just, so when he went on vacation, and while he was on vacation, I'm like, I'm gonna put an hour in every day in basketball. And kind of like, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I mean, I shot for like an hour every single day while he was gone. And we played, and it's funny because while we were playing, we went 6-0. There was one game when I hit 5 threes in a row. I mean, just in a flow state, just
space
in a
never
zone.
changes. It's like,
I'm talking like mid-range, like under. I'm telling you. And the guys left, and Taylor looked at me, and he's like, "I never seen you shoot like that before." And I was just like, I didn't even think about it. Like in the game, I didn't even think about it at all. Yeah. And so it was one of these things where, like, same thing with working out. You do things over and over and over again, and you create repetition.
Yeah.
You get into this just flow state where it's just, you're just doing it. You're just executing. You know what I mean? And you're not even really thinking about it almost.
Yeah.
We the first game, like, Taylor passed me the ball and then popped out to like the side, like for the 3-pointer. And I just like no look passing the ball. And he just chucked it in.
Same
and
frequency.
We just kind of gave each other this look like, okay.
Yeah.
And then did our thing, man. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah. I've been doing about 2 times a week shooting right now. And I'm actually training in the gym to dunk. So don't be surprised if you see some videos with your boy.
Bring it on, man.
Dunking in his 30s. I turned 30 October. So looking to dunk in my 30s is my goal, and to have while having healthy knees, back, and hips. That's the whole goal. And that's kind of what I'm trying to, a lot of my programming is going to be geared toward that, and like back and legs. But yeah, so I think it'd be a good place to just cut off for our days. Yeah.
Hold on, before we do, I gotta show you something.
Yeah. Oh, did it hit?
Got a little something.
There it is.
A little something.
Colorado snow. First snow?
Yeah. First. Yeah. I mean, it frosted a little bit a few weeks ago. That didn't really count. Nice. Yeah, it's nice little snow we got here.
Beautiful.
But yeah, me and Taylor are about to meet up now to shoot a little bit, and we're meeting today. We are gonna start working on a kind of like a. I don't want to give away too much, but we're going to work on this kind of basketball fitness concept.
Yeah.
Of like just a way for people to get together and enjoy basketball, like whether you're a beginner or whether you're, in your 60s or 50s or whatever, finding people in your range that makes you comfortable to enjoy the game. Because I want to give people what I experienced yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're going to get together and talk about that. I would, at the very minimum, we'll bond and have a good time and get the creative juices flowing.
Hell yeah.
So.
Sounds good, bro.
Well, always good to talk to you, man.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to